I love the guitar and I love the music so much. There can't be a plan B. There just can't, because the people I know that had a plan B, whenever the going got really tough, they go, well, I could be going and doing this right now. And then it's like, well, then go do that. Oh, well, you have to use a pick if you're gonna play, like be a professional guitar player.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'm just having fun. Less was more for me.
Totally.
The less things in between the guitar and the amp and the speakers, I felt like the more direct I was playing.
What's up? It's Paul from Guitar World, and today I welcome a special guest, a guy I've been waiting to check out and hear from, James Nichols.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me here. This is amazing.
You're from Wisconsin. Tell me about growing up there.
Well, I grew up in right outside of East Troy, Wisconsin, which is like southeastern Wisconsin. The big claim to fame for that town, that area, is the Alpine Valley Music Theater. It's where Stevie Ray Vaughan played his last show. As a kid, grew up on the same. I grew up maybe a mile and a half away from that theater, so we could hear all of the music all the time when there were shows. Right. My first little gigs as a kid, we were selling soda to the Grateful Dead, because the cars would be lined up.
Yep.
So we'd sell sodas, and my first experiences with music were stuff at Alpine. So I remember going to see, the big one was Ozfest.
Right.
So I went to Ozfest as like a 10-year-old, and it was like Pantera and Ozzy and Marilyn Manson. And I was like, what? But growing up in Wisconsin, super rural. My first job was baling hay.
Wow.
Yes.
So you really are a Midwesterner.
Yeah, I'm Midwest to the bone.
Wow.
And sometimes I find it funny. It's not that I try and hide that.
Yeah.
But it's like I'll see people that are like, oh, I'm from here, from there. I'm like, yeah, I'm from Wisconsin. And I think about those days. I used to want to be a DNR warden because I love spending time out and protecting animals.
Yep.
And I loved being outside, and I loved fishing. I grew up very, very country. And what's funny though is, like I said, when I found guitar, I was 15. It was like, man, it transformed me. And within a few short years, it was like, that was my life. When I really found music, I remember being in 8th grade, and me and my friends went to the talent show at the high school. And there were some kids playing, and they were playing, I think they were trying to play Snowblind by Black Sabbath.
Okay.
And they had long hair, and they were trying to play it. But I was watching, I was like, wow, that's really cool. I was like, I wanted to try and play drums.
Yeah.
And then my dad was a construction worker, and he said, my brother's friend had a drum set. Long story short, we got it in my basement. I'm down there trying to learn how to play, and my dad walks down after work. He's all dirty, and he looks and he goes, no way. The one time in my life he like laid the hammer down.
That's funny.
And he goes, he was like an old school, like Vietnam era guy, so like he had good musical taste. But he goes, why don't you get a guitar? Because it has a volume knob and you can take it with you. He's like, there's too much stuff for drums. And I was like, well, I'm not going to play acoustic guitar. I'll try electric. And we had an old acoustic. He said, if you can learn a riff or like learn something on the acoustic, I'll take you to get an electric. So naturally and I did that within, 20 minutes. And he was like, all right, we'll go get a guitar this weekend. And then that was like my entry. And then it was just like, this was right around the time, like I was saying, I was worshiping now, finding guitar, like the magazines, and Seven Nation Army had come out, and I was listening to all that kind of stuff, and guitar, was on my radar. I was listening to Jet and all these bands, and it was just a beautiful time.
Prior to that, I'm sure your dad must have said, like, well, no, you need to listen to, Zepp, Van Halen, so and forth. Like,
he was even more old school. He was like, of course, he was like Hendrix, Mountain.
Sure.
Cream, like late 60s, early 70s stuff.
Yep, the crossover, right.
CCR, all that stuff that I was hearing when I was a kid. And I loved that. And then, discovering that. What's funny too is like my older brother, he listened to like Alice in Chains and Soundgarden. So I had this mix of what my dad loved, what my brother loved, and then what was on the radio and what I was hearing, which was like Limp Bizkit. Like that's what was on the radio.
Did it all for the nookie, right?
I did it for the nookie, bro. So there was this whole crossover of like, I was hearing all that stuff at the same time, which was really a beautiful thing.
So when did you laser focus into who you are as a player?
Oh my gosh. So I started with, that classic rock stuff.
Okay.
And then I thought to myself, well, where is this all coming from? I wanted to figure out like where Hendrix was getting it or where Cream was getting it. And my mom, she goes, hey, there's this thing on Sundays, it's an open blues jam. And these people play and they do barbecue and they play music. So she took me there once and I was just gonna watch. I did not want to like do it. And I didn't want to go up on stage. And lo and behold, I got coaxed on stage. And we started to play, and they were playing a... And I didn't know how to play any of that, but I knew Led Zeppelin, Bring It On Home.
Yeah,
right?
Very good
So
point.
I heard that, and I was like, okay, I can do that. And then he looks at me and goes, go to the 4. And I was like, I don't know what the 4 is. So then we go to the 4 chord, and I was like, oh, okay. So we do this, and then it gets to my solo. He goes, take a solo. And I just go, I don't know. So everyone clapped, and I was like, wow, I got to figure out what's up with blues. Then people were like, have you heard of Stevie Ray Vaughan? And I was like, kind of. And then my buddy's friend had the Elma Combo DVD. And I remember seeing the Texas Flood on there where Stevie's... And I heard that, and I was like, how do I do that? Where did he get it from?
That's amazing.
Led me down the rabbit hole. Albert King. And then me not playing with a pick, I heard Albert King. And then B.B. King, of course. I was hearing all this Freddie King, all of the blues stuff.
Yeah.
And then I was obsessed, man.
That's amazing.
Went down that rabbit hole so far. Then it kind of like led me all the way back up to the point where I was like playing with my friends, and they were like, let's play Hendrix or let's play this song. And then I had all this blues background, and I was like, okay, cool, I can dig into that. And then it like kind of was a full circle.
I see.
You know?
That's interesting because, I had Samantha Fish here not too long ago, and it was interesting to hear her talk about like, she first got enchanted by guitar by some of the rock stuff.
Yeah.
But then, just like you, being a fellow Midwesterner,
Yes.
She decided to go further back to see where the source material came from.
Right.
And you're following a similar path.
Yeah, I think that it's really natural too for, so at this point I was getting CDs. It wasn't even online yet. So I was going to Walmart and getting like Best of Blues. And I was like, who are these artists on here? So I didn't even know. And it was pretty amazing because I was like in real time, I felt like I found like a treasure chest of all this blues stuff. And it was just this journey that I felt like I was on alone because none of my friends did this.
Right.
It was like everyone kind of stopped here. And then of course I like started like seeing younger people like Bonamassa and Kenny Wayne Shepherd and all of them playing. And I was like, well, where are they getting it? So it was just this beautiful moment of like discovery of all that stuff.
So you mentioned before that you don't use a pick. Was that immediate or was that something you got to?
So I got there because I'm left-handed, like I was saying.
Right. You started off.
I started off opposite. And it was one of those things when I went to go get the guitar, the guy at the shop goes, dude, you have to flip the guitar. He's like, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
He's like, trust me, you don't want to be a lefty because you're always going to have your own guitar and it's going to be hard to find guitars. So, okay, so I flip it, right? And I was trying to play with a pick, and I got to a point where I was doing okay with a pick, but it never felt right. It was like if you had your fretting hand and you were wearing a glove.
Yeah.
There's this thing where you go, man, I need to feel the strings and like the tension. I got that way with my picking hand. So when I was playing things, especially in the blues kind of realm, and I was playing like, if it was there was all this snapping going on, and I was hearing these players play like, and getting this, or even this chicken picking kind of thing where you'd hear players snap strings. The snapping and pulling up on the frets. So I was like, I really like that sound, and I love the way that there's tension on every string, and you can feel it in the dynamic level, right? So if I play something, I go, and then so then when you put more gain on it, I noticed that it gave a lot of the licks that I was playing with a pick more color. So I would play something like, let's just say I played. So playing stuff like that, I noticed when I was with a pick, I felt like I was locked in. And with my fingers, I was using my thumb basically goes down, index, middle, and ring kind of pull up. Then people started to say, oh, well, you have to use a pick. if you're gonna play, like, be a professional guitar player.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I don't know, I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
Then it was Jeff Beck, Derek
Yeah.
Trucks,
Right.
and then obviously Albert King, Mark Knopfler. I was seeing all these amazing players play without a pick, and I was like, I just want to do that. So that's kind of like where it led me.
That's great.
And I play a little bit more aggressively. So like in my trio and stuff, it's not like I'm just playing old school style blues. Like, you know, some of the riffs are a little bit more aggressive, I would say. So, you know, so there's a lot of like syncopation between the thumb and the index.
Yeah.
You know? I was telling you I'm a big Leslie West fan, so a lot of the riffs I play, you know. So it's a little different. Yeah.
Your technique allows you a lot more expressiveness.
Yeah.
But is it primarily your thumb and index finger are the primaries?
Yeah, those are the primaries for sure. This is kind of like, I guess it's my claw, right? And then
Right.
it's really comes down to that middle finger kind of does all of the level 2 stuff. And then if I need to, I'll pull that the ring finger out. But usually it is these two, and then the middle and the index with the pull up and the thumb. But like there's certain things I'll do with a guitar pick or without a guitar pick that are reminiscent to something you would hear. You wouldn't really notice, but it's when you start to really dig in or use that kind of percussive thing when you start to notice. So if there's a... It's almost countryish.
Yeah, you can really get away with that.
And then
It's
you
great.
put the gain on and you... So it's pretty cool.
It's so cool because, you know, watching you play and using that, you know, your style reminds me of very early ZZ Top, like
Oh, yeah.
Trey Hombres, that like all like where you actually hear, like it actually makes you hear the amp more.
Yeah, and you know what's great with, thank you, that's a huge influence. Obviously, Billy's a big influence. I love the simplicity where you can hear the amp, you hear the transients, and also a lot of the
But
riffs.
the percussiveness
Yeah,
that you do.
So if I play a riff... I got so much for Billy that... Love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Do you have, but now since you play with your fingers, do you have a problem like getting like a pinch harmonic, or is there a way?
Ooh, now that's different. Thanks for asking. So I like you guys that are probably watching this, I feel like I'm always trying to level up and do different things.
Okay.
And once in a while you get these happy little accidents. And I realized, I was like, okay, so harmonics, okay, we have natural, like kind of, you know, the above the frets, right? So I do all this different kind of cool. You can do all these little cool ones. So that's cool. And then I started to notice, of course, you could do like just a tap, like you could tap it above, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, then I started to notice this thing where if I squeeze, now this is on the same string. Let's say I'm on the 5th fret of my D string.
Right.
I can take my thumb and pick down and just put a little bit of the flesh of my index. And you start to...
Yep.
But what happens is if you let it off right away, you start to...
Yep.
So you have to really, it's a touch sensitive thing, right?
Yeah.
So
But it's a very, you know, it's that early Billy Gibbons, like LaGrange thing.
And then I found if I do this crazy technique, I'll just have to play it and then I can maybe talk. You gotta find... got to find the right spot. So yeah, it's that Billy Gibbons thing, and like it's almost that little bit of squeeze. So it does give that almost false pinch harmonic thing.
Yep.
But it's so feel.
But it's cool, you know, in a sense that because you don't rely on that, like so many guitar players rely on those pinch harmonics, and it actually separates you from everyone else. It kind of gives you your own thing,
well,
right?
Cheers, man. The one thing about my playing is what I can say is anything I play, it's like I just want to like have intent behind it. And sometimes when like you noodle, you know,
Yeah.
you go, oh man, it's like you have to like focus on like what am I trying to say with the guitar?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that comes down to like the tone, the touch, the feel.
Yeah.
And you know, just kind of what you're trying to put into it is something that's meaningful. And I try not to noodle as much and try and say something.
Still, it's great. I again, which leads me to my question, like, how do you feel you have evolved as a player, like from say 5 years ago?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think I've evolved in a lot of ways. One of the things is just a maturity around note choice and phrasing.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is like, there's a point in every guitar player's life where it's like you are rehashing a lot of the same licks, and you're basically almost like chasing your tail a little bit, where you're playing a lot of the same things and expecting different results.
Yep.
One of the things I noticed was I tried to get out of my own way, right? So if I was playing anything, this big thing with guitar is like we always are trying to. It's like we're programmed to like show you everything.
Yes.
And like, you know, it's like it's athletic sports, right? But one of the things I noticed is the more I was trying to just kind of talk through the guitar instead of playing licks or trying to impress you, you know, or impress people, it kind of helped me out. So like the phrasing aspect of it, trying to say more with less was a big one. And it didn't go back to trying to be like more bluesy or more like David Gilmour or any of these players. It was just trying to find like what I was trying to say. And with that being said, you know, I would start to do different things where I would never do that 5 years ago. Maybe it's like if I was playing over, you know, if I was in A minor,
Right.
And instead of playing licks, I know I kind of just try and sing a phrase, more of a voice leading thing where I'm singing it in my head. I do 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 do.
Yeah.
Instead of learning a lick and then repeating it for you, I would try and, you know. So my mindset is just a little bit differently in that way. And a lot of things too with tone, I learned very quickly that less was more for me.
Totally.
The less things in between the guitar and the amp and the speakers, I felt like the more direct I was playing.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, it's like on the floor here, it's just an ABY switch, a tuner, a pickup booster, and that's what was on.
Yeah.
And then the
KTR.
The KTR.
From Klon,
and
yeah.
And I felt like I used to try and juggle maybe different effects. Nothing against effects, but
Sure.
for me, the directness, it really helped me focus on what I was playing instead of, oh, let me change this sound.
Yeah.
Now, instead, I would go to a tone knob and I could roll that back.
Yeah.
Or, you know, do different things where I use these more as
Yeah.
the voice instead of, you know, let me throw another pedal on the floor. And I think something that a lot of players we could struggle with is just finding some sort of identity or some sort of imprint in such a well-worn path of like blues and rock.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, how do you stand out? Well, maybe it's not about standing out. It's just about you being yourself.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really, to answer your question, the 5 years, what I've matured as is I've found to be comfortable in my own skin.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's a way to do it.
Yeah.
So we have a new album, Louder
Yes.
Than Fate.
Yes, sir.
Right off the bat, I listened to it. Let's Go. It should be called Let's Effin' Go. It's like you're right out of the gate. It's great.
Yes, that song, that riff, man, that. It's just like
It's
punching.
Right, you get right to it.
Yes.
It's like you know what you're getting with the JJN album. It's great.
Yeah, it's a smasher.
I love it.
Thanks,
I like Ghost was another great song,
Mm-hmm.
and another one that really stood out for me was Show Me, right?
Oh yeah.
I thought that was a really well written song altogether. I mean, the whole album is great from start to finish.
Thank you, brother.
Tell me about the whole process, like how about writing this album. Like what were you trying to accomplish or?
Well, with this record, above other records, like my last record I did was self-titled.
Mm-hmm.
We were in Nashville and we were at a studio called Blackbird. We recorded that sucker live to tape.
Yeah.
And it was almost like I felt like I had something to say and something to prove with that record, almost on like a performance level.
Sure.
People would come to me at shows before that record. They'd say, man, you sound so good. Oh, I love your live records. Man, I wish your records had as much passion and intensity as you do live. And that always stuck with me. And I was like, man, okay. So then we made the record where it was like, well, if you want that, let's just play it live in the studio and go for it. Well, what ended up happening was we toured that record. I feel like we served it well. And immediately after releasing that, I started working on songs for Louder Than Fate. I worked with a lot of friends of mine, like Ghost was written with a guitar player friend of mine, Tyler Bryant.
Okay. Yep.
There was a lot of co-writers on the record that were just friends of mine that I wanted to just see what we could come up with. It was a record that was made only by feeling. It wasn't like, oh man, I gotta write songs for a new record. It was just I wanted to do that. And with this record more than any other record, I kind of put the songs in a place where I didn't want to do anything with the guitar that didn't serve the song.
Okay.
So like you were saying with songs like Show Me, I took a lot of different risks where maybe in my mind I would want to play a certain guitar part because I think that it was maybe a little more flashy or it showed a little bit more of, me as an instrumentalist. But with Show Me, I started to write riffs in a different way that I never did. And that riff's kind of cool because I'm in drop D.
Yeah.
But it's a...
Yeah, great voicing.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I thought to myself, man, I really like the way that feels. So when the band came in, and yet again, the songs on this record were meant to be served for the live show. Mm-hmm. So everything we put on the record, I want to play it live.
Got it.
And it was really important for me to grow as an artist and a songwriter in a way that I felt like I was doing justice for these songs. And not only that, as a lyricist, as a vocal, it's crazy when you open your mind to the whole picture.
Yeah, yeah.
And but for me, always the guitar is my man, just like you,
That's
just
home.
like everybody watching. It's our baby,
Home.
It's home.
Yep.
So writing this record, I was using these weird looking guitars to write a lot of the riffs. I was doing these crazy, a lot of wild riffs on this record, man. So I was just really trying to serve the songs, and I was really trying to show that side of me and grow more that way. And I'm really happy with it.
Did you track it live?
We tracked a ton of it live.
Okay.
We ended up we were in LA for a lot of the record. We actually used the 606 Dave Grohl studio, which was epic. And, I don't want to say, like you can record anywhere these days, of course.
Yep,
but
absolutely.
when you're in a room that's like on fire, there's something so beautiful about that. Like when we started playing and the drums were hitting in that tracking room at 606, it felt like I closed my eyes and I was like, I could hear the record.
Yeah.
So it just brought a different energy, and a lot of the chunk of it, which was the guitar, the bass, and the drums recorded together.
Yeah.
I just feel like I love how that feels, and it melts together. And then we would cut vocals and some guitars on top.
Yeah. Yeah. When did you find out you had such a great voice?
I didn't. I only started singing because back in the day, it was like we wanted to play songs, and I was like, they're like, let's play Purple Haze. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, who's going to sing? And then I was like, I guess I'll sing. So that's how it started. And then when I moved to California, that was when I was 21, and I wanted to really give it a shot and just try anything.
Yeah.
I found these two guys from Sweden, these great players, and literally I was like, the same thing happened where I was like, let's play Purple Haze. And they're like, okay, who's going to sing? And I was like, I guess I'll sing. So that's how it all really started. And I just like guitar, I tried to develop my voice, and years and years of being on the road and trial and error, just like when we play.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable as a vocalist, just like as a guitar player. And it's cool because there's a symbiotic relationship between the both. That's something I would suggest to anyone that's listening or watching this is don't be afraid to be you, and don't be afraid to If you say, oh man, my voice isn't good, trust me, if I could send you the tapes of our first show as a trio, my voice was cracking. I was so nervous. I sounded like a billy goat, man. I was, you know, so there's hope. It's just, you have to it's just like guitar. You have to dedicate yourself to it, and you have to find your voice.
I agree.
It's tough.
No, it's good. It's like at least for my journey, I always remember being in bands growing up. I was just like, hey, our lead guitar player left, and you're like, you're gonna have to play lead guitar. I was like, I don't know how to play lead guitar. Well, you're gonna have to learn.
Well, that's one of the things I say too, is you never say no.
Never say no.
So if someone's like, hey, yeah, Jared, we got this I remember I was in LA, and it was I was trying to figure anything out. We got this cover gig. It's tomorrow night. Can you learn 14 songs? And there was no way. But I was like, of course I will. And it was this crash course, and just never say no.
You're right.
Just go for it, man.
That's advice right there.
Yeah, never say no.
Since you brought it up, let's talk about your guitar.
Oh yeah.
So now
this
I know
thing.
you've had Gibsons, and you're with Epiphone. You had a signature. But,
yes.
But I love that you were playing in Gibson Futura.
It's crazy looking guitar. It is not a Dean. It is a Gibson Futura. So the story on these, just to bring everyone up to speed, is this was a design that was introduced alongside of the Flying V and the Moderne. And this is the predecessor of what turned into the Explorer.
Yep.
So these were originally made out of Carina. This one right here is made out of mahogany. This is actually a model that's available through the custom shop right now. I got a Carina one, I got this one, and I just love playing this mahogany one. It's got a bunch of attitude. It feels like a little skinny Explorer.
Yeah, it was funny because when I started catching some, photos of you, and I was like, oh, he's playing an Explorer now. Then I was like, oh wait, hold on a second.
You're like, wait a minute.
I know that model, and I'm just like, and then I saw it, and it's like, oh, nobody plays the Futura, but you've made it your own. I think that's so cool.
Well, I got to tell you really quick. So I was playing. Obviously, I still love and play Les Pauls all the time.
Sure.
Of course, it's part of my DNA. And I remember I was hanging out, I was basically neighbors with the band Hailstorm, which Joe and Lizzie Hale.
Yep.
And they had in the basement a bunch of Explorers. And at the time I was thinking, what can I play? Something a little different, something that feels different. I obviously love the Gibson thing.
Yep.
I love it. So the way they feel. And she had a really cool Carina Explorer. So I was like, Lizzie, can I borrow it? She's like, yeah, sure. So I borrowed it for a month. And I totally fell in love with it. And I was like, man, I love the way it sits. Because I kind of sit like classical.
Yeah.
But when you sit with it even like this, it's got the nice little...
It has a great balance.
It's a great balance. Yeah. And then obviously when you play it live, it has that balance here. And you're like, yeah, that feels great.
Yep.
So I loved it. And then I remember Cesar at Gibson.
Gibson, yeah.
He hit me up and he's like, hey, you could have asked me for an Explorer. I got a bunch. And I was like, well, what do you got? So I borrowed it's crazy. I borrowed the prototype for the Tom Murphy Ultra Aged Limited Brazilian Board Run.
Wow.
So I have this guitar now, right? And I started to tour with it. And I immediately told myself when I started touring, I was like, I need to give this back to Cesar because I'm going to fall in love with it.
Yeah.
And I looked up the price of what that guitar was for just a normal model, and they were trying to fetch somewhere near $100,000 used. So I said, this guitar needs to go away. But then I started looking around, and he was showing me pictures of another Explorer that was at the custom shop. And one of these was behind it. And I was like, what's that? And I remember seeing these models before, but I'd never seen one in person.
Right.
And he goes, oh, this Futura thing. So I wanted to get one. He's like, well, they're not released yet. So there's a friend of mine. He's on Instagram. It goes by Fried Okra. He's a big guitar collector, a great friend of mine. And whenever I need something or I want to try something, I text him. He has a book, man, of all the stuff he has. I was like, hey, can I get a Futura off you? The next day, he overnighted me one to play. And it's the one that I used. It's a 90s Gibson that was custom made. I used that all over my record. And I fell in love with the shape. I fell in love with the way it feels, the way it sounds, obviously. But it was funny. A lot of people, when they saw it, they were like, that's the ugliest guitar I've ever seen. And now, months later, people are going, Jared, where can I get a Futura? Because I think I'm starting to maybe just a little bit bring it into the circle.
It just takes one guy to make it cool.
And no one ever played one that I've ever seen.
No.
And what was really cool is we always have these pre kind of conditions for, you know, what a Les Paul sounds like, what a Strat, what everything sounds like.
Sure.
And when I got it, I was like, man, I wonder what it's going to sound like. And I just love the attitude, the vibe, and the feel, man.
It's just something different. I mean, I loved, you know, the fact that it's got the narrower, you know, waist.
Yes, for sure.
And then, of course, then you got the extended cutaway. So, but what was it about, like, when you picked it up? What was it about this particular model? Like, yes, it was just.
It was the first time I played it live.
Compared to, like, say, the Explorer, I should say.
Yeah. So the Explorer, when I played the Explorer, I was like, wow. And you won't know until you see one of these. The Explorer, after you play this, feels like a big paddle. You're like, whoa, man, this is huge in the middle.
Yeah, I got you.
But this, it felt really tactile. It set really good on my body. And I just felt like there was something that was so cool because it merged not only on the sound, but the feel. It felt like that vintage Gibson feel that I love and I'm so used to.
Yeah.
They had this all these angles in it where it almost was like this aggressiveness, but it still stemmed from that 50s thing.
Yeah.
So I always love Misfits, man. I love the broken toys.
Yeah.
I love the stuff that everyone kind of discards and they go, no way. And I was dying to get one. And when my friend sent me that one, I was like, no, this is something I can sink my teeth into. And I didn't even think, oh man, I'm going to play this and this is going to be, you know, I just wanted to have some fun with it. But I quickly fell in love with the style and the vibe. And I really think that there's something really cool about it. And here we are, I don't even know, 58, 68, 78, 88, 98. I mean, we're talking like 70 years.
Yeah.
And I might be one of the first kind of people to pick one up and to really do one justice. So I'm excited about that.
And it's stock? You don't do any modifications?
This guitar is completely stock with one mod. It has Seymour Duncan Antiquity pickups in it.
Okay.
Yeah, so this one has Antiquities in it. Otherwise, everything else is totally normal.
And the neck profile, is it more of the rounded like a Les Paul Jr. or is it more of a C like other Les Pauls?
It's more like a Les Paul Jr. It's verging on the side of like being pretty fat, but still really comfortable.
Do you prefer that like in your guitars?
You know,
or you never thought about it?
No, I do prefer it because when I did the signatures, I do like the fat, chunky necks. But I'll tell you what, when I play a guitar with a super thin neck, as long as the guitar has a vibe and a feel, and I can get used to it. The only thing is I have a late 60s Firebird with a very, very thin neck.
Yeah.
And that neck is so thin, man, that I don't even have crazy big hands or anything, but I can't even do a bar or open chords because it's just so small.
It starts to shift. You can hear it go out of tune.
Yeah.
I know.
So
I've had that.
This neck, it feels really comfortable. And the one thing that's also kind of strange, this gives me a little bit more of a feel, but like, it feels a little less Paul-y because it has a big old bout on the front.
Yep.
So that feels good. What you'll notice with this guitar, though, is it gets a little tight when you get up here.
Up there, yeah.
But it's like anything. I've been playing these guitars for almost a year, and now it just feels like second nature.
That's awesome. Obviously, you've been known to or associated with Blackstar for a very long time.
Big time.
And now, obviously, some big news in the guitar world was that you switched over to Marshall.
Yeah.
Do you want to address that
Absolutely.
that change?
Absolutely. So, when I first moved to California, I was putting my band together, all of those things. The studio that I was rehearsing at right when I started, Swing House Studios, they had Blackstars. And at the time, I had no idea what a Blackstar was.
Yeah.
And they were there. I didn't even own an amp at this time. And I remember plugging in, and it was a Series 1 100 watt. And I plugged in, and I went, okay, what's this going to sound like? So it gave me this really cool kind of vibe between a JCM 800, but it had a little extra sparkle and a little bit of definition I wasn't used to. I was like, oh, this is cool. So through that studio, I was able to start borrowing these amps. Then I met the guys from Blackstar, and they were all really cool, and we hit it off. So I just started using these amps. It was very natural, organic, and I always, no matter what, I was playing Blackstars because I didn't have any other amps. I didn't have money for other amps, so it just felt natural. And I was touring with them, so when I started to tour, Blackstar was awesome. They said, oh, we'll get you amps in Europe, get you amps here. So it was a really, really cool thing. And if you don't know, all the Blackstar stuff, it's ex-Marshall employees.
Yep.
So the DNA dates straight back to Marshall, and the feel of it feels a lot like a Marshall.
Right.
So when I started to work with them, we developed some amazing amps together, things I'm super proud of. I did a 20 watt, a 50 watt, and everything was really great. But what I started to notice was with my tone and where I wanted to go, this really started kicking off just a few years ago. I borrowed a 68 Plexi from a friend of mine. And I didn't even think about it like, oh, what's going to happen here? He just goes, you should play this. And I went, okay. So I get this amplifier. And in an age where there's so many bells and whistles and there's so many things that are built in, and with Blackstar, they had a lot of things in the amps that I really didn't know a lot about. I was just plugging straight into them and using one channel. Yeah. When I got on that Plexi, man, all of a sudden I was like, whoa, there's no, effects loops, and there's no
safety net.
Yeah, there's no DI. You know, it was just me, my guitar, plugged into this bucking Bronco of an amplifier. And I loved the way it felt. And I loved the way it made me play. And there was this urgency and there was this power that I had to harness. And I started to use it. And I started to use it on recordings. And when you listen to the record, you can hear it all, the whole record. So I just started to almost get this taste. And I remember then we would start to play live. And I wanted to have some of that sound. And being a loyal friend and family with Blackstar, it was like, I got to stick to my Blackstars. But there was this yearning for me. And it was like this calling to go and play that Marshall. So we started to try and supplement it with other amplifiers. And I kept going back to the Marshall stuff. And, there's no bad blood. There's no anything with the Blackstar guys. I consider them, obviously, in the history of me, a huge part of the tone. But I'll say when I kicked off with the Marshalls, and it was purely a moment where I felt like everything was brand new again, in a way that my sound, it was like a whole new lease on life. Yeah. And it's not being a pushback and saying, oh my gosh, I don't want to use anything new or, digital and all this stuff. No, it's just where my heart is going where it wanted to go, which was the primitive nature of those amps. Right. And the way that they sound and the way that they made me play, it was like I just was turning into more of an animal. I love it.
Speaking of, what Marshall are you using on tour right now?
So right now they have the modified series of Plexis. And they sent me one. And
which one?
It's the 59 Super Lead. Okay. And they actually sent me an 800 and the Super Lead. And they were both so awesome that I was like, oh my gosh, which one do I even like more? But ultimately I went with the Super Lead because it's a little bit more of that old school organic thing. And with that, the cool part with this amp is the fact that it has that master volume.
Of course.
So when I'm on tour, wherever I am, even if we were here today and I had it, I could get that usable kind of Marshall honk and that, that transient punch. And so I've been using those, and I'm actually using two of those together, which I just love. That's amazing. I love the way it feels. And like I said, man, I can, we're obviously playing through, which model is it?
That's a DSL. 100.
Yeah. And this thing sounds cranking too. But there's something about the low end of it. All I can say is the way that I play with a Marshall, it's just so much more straight from the heart.
Yeah, you couldn't go wrong with either. The 800, although the 800's more tailor-made for a more modern musician. And I feel like when you said the 59, I was like, of course it's the 59, because it lays everything out there for you to play, because there's nothing to hide behind.
Yeah.
You turn that up.
What was beautiful too is like with that 800, it was almost like, I'm telling you, when I played that, I was like, wow, like especially at a low volume, I was like, I can play anything with this thing. Yeah. But I noticed it had so much gain that for me,
aggro, yeah.
I like when I have to push and pull a little bit, and I have to kind of coax it out. And with that Super Lead, once you turn that baby up, I could turn that master down with that channel volume up. It just was like it opened up, and it's a beautiful thing. With the 68, the original, that was so loud, I pulled two of the power tubes out because it was so out of control loud. So with this amp, it's the best of both worlds. I can get in the vein of that sound, but I can also save my ears.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love it. And what are you using any pedals out on tour?
So right now I'm just using basically what's here, which is really funny. It's literally an ABY box, a tuner. I have this pickup booster, and Seymour Duncan, they sent me this. I love it because if you hear this without it, this is just the DSL. Okay.
Yep.
And then I click this on. It adds a hair of kind of this kind of warm kind of growl to it.
Yep.
And with the Plexis, it takes something that's already really beautiful and it just puts a little bit of dirt on it, right? And then I'll usually keep that on all the time. So I'm running that. And then I got this KTR recently. I do have we were talking about one of the original clones. Shout out to Joe Bonamassa. Thank you, Joe. But I hadn't bring that on the road because, to be honest, we're so throw and go and gear gets treated so, you know, and that clone, it looks like it's been through the wars. Yep. And it started to get to the point where I got one of these KTRs and I said, you know what? I'm just going to throw this on a little board and it's a lot easier. And I love it the way it sounds. So with that pickup booster, we have getting that clone on. So it's just got a little extra to it. I had to put tape on it.
Yeah.
With gain, tone, volume because
I figured that out. Yeah, when I saw that, I knew exactly what you were doing.
Dude, all right, I'm gonna throw some shade, man. This pedal, it was so built cool, but man, I didn't know what the knobs did.
Me neither.
If you're in the heat of the moment, and you're like, what's the volume? What's the tone? So I had to put a little cheat sheet there.
Listen, I get it. That's actually just adds a little bit of coolness to the pedal right there. So.
And that's really it. Like I was telling you before, I'm the kind of player that I love effects and I love all this stuff. But what I found is when I say it the best is when it's a guitar, super simple pedal setup, and like straight into the Marshall. Yeah. And it's just like, just let me go.
Well, again, it allows you to be you. It allows you to be expressive. You know, it's like, and it again, once again, proves that the guitar is the most expressive instrument out there.
Oh, it is. And like, you know, it's like every day, it's like you get to take your feelings and the way you're feeling and whatever it is, and it comes through the guitar. It's like, it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So quickly tell me about, I know now, you know, it's not enough that you are touring as a guitar player, you're well known for all that stuff, but you also are in that influencing space. With,
oh my gosh, I'm an influencer.
Well, I mean, I believe you and Tyler have that podcast, No Cover Charge.
Yep.
Great name, by the way.
Oh, cheers.
And you know, we can see you there. So tell me about that, how that just kind of came together.
Well, it's a funny story. Tyler, and he lives in Nashville. I live in Nashville. I believe we were on Instagram at one point about a year ago. He DM'd me, he goes, hey man, do you want to make a video together for my channel, Music is Win? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I come over to his house and he has a beautiful home with a beautiful studio. And I remember I walk in and I crack a joke right away. And I can't remember exactly what I said, but the one thing I always say is me and Tyler, we have the same funny bone. Yeah. So like we think the same stuff is funny. So we hit it off instantly. We made this video and the video did like really well on his channel. So he hit me up. He's like, bro, check it out. People are loving this video. And we hung out a few times after that. And he said, hey man, I have this idea. He's like, you're good on camera. He's like, what? We should do like a podcast or something. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty busy. You know, I don't know if I could really dedicate time to that. He's like, we should just try it. So we got together and our first guest, we had a guest. It was Greg Koch. Yeah. And, you know, he really made it helpful for us. And we started to do these podcasts just for fun, just to see where it would go. And he said, because he's a genius when it comes to like, he does all the editing, he does all the stuff. I just show up and be myself. Right. And it was funny, we started to notice that people were really liking it. So he said, hey, we should keep doing this. And I said, yeah, we should. So after about a month or two of doing that, he was like, we should like make it a thing. So we came up obviously with No Cover Charge, and we just have fun. It's like the coolest thing because we just have fun and we hang out and play guitars, and people are like, they're digging it. And now we've built it where now we're making backing tracks together for people to download and so many different things. But I will say this, what I've noticed from this is how much the guitar community is awesome, because I look through all the comments and see what people are saying. And you know, sometimes you get really sad about it. You're like, man, everything's rough and all this. The guitar, and what's cool about the podcast is it makes everybody happy. And it's just a really good space for what we love, which is, you know, guitar. And right now we're about to hit 100,000 followers on YouTube. And it's been done just because it's just two goofballs playing guitar. And it's pretty awesome, man. And it's something
awesome.
different, you know?
It's great because I think it's like, as you said, the guitar community is like, I think we're a bit of like, you know, a fly on the walls. We all want to be part of like what's going on. And you've kind of brought it into a living room space where like we can just sort of sit there and be that fly on the wall. And
what I love too is I'm always so used to doing my own interviews and being, you know, kind of the guy that's like, you know, okay, Jared, you're on tour now and you're doing this, and I'll never stop doing that.
Sure.
But this lets me put on a different hat, and I get to go, you know, like the other day, like we get to hang out with Paul Gilbert, and I'm like, Paul, do you even like to shred anymore? You know, I just get to ask questions.
Right.
And
you can get nerdy.
It's nerdy, and it's a safe space for like, you know, just the love of guitar, and I think it's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Do you have was there any, out of all the podcasts you've done, was there a particular standout moment for you or a particular guest that kind of, that comes to mind for you?
Two. So obviously, you know, guitar, it's like a relentless pursuit, right? And doing this podcast has opened my eyes to a few things that, man, I always continually trying up my game and the way I'm playing. Tommy Emmanuel.
Yes.
Being from me to you away, watching him play was almost like I gotta say, it was like a religious experience.
Oh, yeah.
Because I couldn't believe what I was watching and the way that he was making the guitar talk. Tommy was a big one for me, and just how beautiful of a human he is. He was just amazing. And now Tommy watches my videos online and he comments, and I'm like, don't, Tommy saw it? No. But then the other one was Trey Hensley. He's a bluegrass picker.
Okay.
Unbelievable player, but watching him play, and this is me saying this, he's a flat picker. The precision.
Yeah.
And he said, I used to sit there for 12 to 15 hours a day for years. You know, like watching that and the dedication to the craft, and how many different people, you know, love guitar just like we do, but they inject their personality and what they love about it. It's the best part, man.
It's awesome.
So many moments of just like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Like, we had Tommy Emmanuel up here too, and I was just blown away by not only his kindness, but the guy shows up like ready to do a triathlon. He showed up, right? He came at like 8:30 in the morning with us.
I love him.
And the guy just starts playing guitar like he's been doing it all night long. I'm just like, Christ, this guy.
I was just on the Joe Bonamassa Blues Cruise, right? Tommy was on there. I was like, hey, Tommy. He's like, hey, what's up? And he's got his guitar. Has a performance later. He's walking around the boat, literally going up to people going, hey, how you doing? You know, and he's playing for them. And I'm like, he's giving people private concerts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is insane. He just loves it.
He lives and breathes the instrument, which is, you know, as a guitar player, we admire that, right?
Oh, we love it.
It's fantastic.
So much.
So I know we may have touched on it before, but it's always not enough to just be, you know, a great guitar player and all these things. You need to be all these things. What advice would you give?
No two paths are going to be the same. And it's always, I talk to people all the time, especially young people, and they say, man, it's not working out. I don't have the followers, or I don't have the views, or whatever. And it's like, before you worry yourself with all of that, make sure that you're being honest with what you want to do. Because the biggest thing I know is the sacrifice. I mean, I started going on the road in 2014 and in a car, and then we graduated from the car to the little baby van, and then we did world tours in a minivan. Like, it took a solid almost 9 years before any money was made on any level. So this wasn't a thing where people think, oh man, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna make all this money. If that's what you're in it for, just, you don't even do it. It's like, you have to use the love and the dedication, and also you have to be at a point where you're not afraid to, you know, crash and burn 10 times before, you know, because that's what happened to me a lot. Was you learn a lot, and the growth comes through, you know, the mistakes, and, you know, maybe going down the wrong path and figuring out, oh, I don't want to do that, I want to do this. And ultimately, I would say that the biggest thing is, if you want it, it's just never give up.
Right.
There can't be a plan B. There just can't, because the people I know that had a plan B, whenever the going got really tough, they go, well, I could be going and doing this right now. And then it's like, well, then go do that, because for me, I love the guitar and I love the music so much. And it's not even about saying, oh, I sacrificed for this. There's no sacrifice. This is just who I am and what I've chosen with my life path. And I think that that's the way it has to be. And the key to all of it is having fun.
Amazing.
Because man, if you're not having fun with a guitar in your hands, I think about that all the time. I'm so lucky I get to travel all over the world doing this, playing guitar, and there'll be those days where you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. And I have to like slap myself. And I got to go, dude, you're playing guitar.
That's
like,
it.
what are you doing, you know?
What's better? You know, you're doing the thing. This is your job. You
And
love it.
And I just got to say, anyone, just don't give up and just put everything you have into it, and the power of positivity. That's what it is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, a couple more questions.
Yeah.
I know you shared the stage with probably most of your musical heroes, right?
A lot of them, yeah.
Do you, any thoughts about like, who would you love to collaborate with at some point? You know, looking forward in the.
There's so many on so
towards
many
the
different
future.
levels.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, there's so many. I want to wear all the hats. Like, if I was to talk about like collaborations, it's like, oh, I want to collaborate with. In one vein, it's like Government Mule and Blackberry Smoke and the Black Crows, and I want to play some of that.
Yeah.
And then the other side is like, I would love to dig in more and do more with friends of mine, like whether it's like, you know, play more with Bonamassa or even get into more of the like the Rival Sons, stuff like that. I mean, man, one of my biggest would be like to jam with Clapton. That's the one guy I think that's that would be like, I would love to play with Clapton. But I mean, there's so many collaborations, and another thing that I'm starting to love a lot is being in the studio and getting to play on other people's records and do stuff like that.
Right.
So I mean, the sky's the limit. How much time do you have? There's just so much I'd love to do in that regard.
So with that, best piece of advice any of those guys gave you? Can you pick one guy?
The best piece of advice, I mean, it sums it up with whether, man, I don't know. I think the best piece of advice would probably be from Zakk Wylde, because I got to tour with Zakk for like a solid like 6 months, right? Opening and just being around him all the time. And he's a total goofball, and he's the best.
He's pretty intense.
He's very intense.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I realized from Zakk, not only Zakk, but people like Billy Gibbons, and it's like, no matter what, in Bonamassa, it's like, when it's time to play, like, it's time to go. And like, there's something really, really amazing when you watch someone literally change in front of your eyes from going like, oh yeah, everything's good, man. And then it's like, it's showtime. And it's like, okay, cool. They have this kind of work ethic and this mindset of like, everything else just, you know, slips away. And it's like with Joe, he puts the glasses on and it's like,
game
okay.
face, right?
Yeah, it's the game face. And it's one thing that I take really seriously is like, when it's time to play, like, and it's not like serious, like, oh.
Yeah, I know.
It's that feeling, man.
Yeah.
And people spend a lot of money to go to concerts, and people, you know, they want to show. And that's something that I've learned from people like Zakk and Joe. And it's like, getting in that headspace is, it's a beautiful thing.
It's awesome. It's like the first track of your album. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. That's amazing. Well, with that, thank you, Jared. I would love picking your brain. You know, I could sit here for another hour and talk to you.
Oh, I know.
So,
well, thank you. This is an honor.
It's been awesome.
I'm a Guitar World believer since well, for me, it's probably, people laugh, but since 05, man. That was, you know, but I thank you, and I'm honored to be here.
That's awesome. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, if you love this video, hit subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, and drop a comment. Tell us all about how much you love Jared here, or, you know, lay it down.
Absolutely.
Right?
Cheers, guys. Thank you so much.
Take us out. Yeah.